Hello and welcome to Explaining Psychology. Today I'm going to be talking about the explanations of conformity. So this is different to the types of conformity and it's something you need to be a little bit careful about on the exam. It can trick you up a little bit. So there is a model by Dutch and Gerard which is used to explain the reasons why people conform. Now, they say that there's two different explanations. The first type is normative social influence, and the second explanation is informational social influence. So there's quite a few big words here, so it can get a little bit confusing. Now, hopefully you've watched my first video on the types of conformity. And these explanations explain different types of conformity. So, normative social influence explains why people comply. And informational social influence explains why people go through identification and internalisation. So, normative social influence is basically saying people comply because they want to fit in and they don't want to be left out. Okay? We've all felt that. You know, all of your mates, you're at a party and some really hot boy makes a joke and everyone's laughing. You have no idea what the joke is about, but you don't want to look like a loser, so you just laugh along. You've got no idea why people are laughing. You don't know why it's funny. That is an example of compliance, and Dutch and Gerard say the reason, getting licked on the leg here, the reason that people comply is because they want to fit in. They don't want to be embarrassed. They don't want to be left out. And I'm sure we've all experienced that. Now, the other type is informational social influence. And that explains internalisation and identification. So that is basically conforming because you want to be right. You want the right answer. You want to do the right thing. And you look to other people because you think, they know what they're doing. They know what's going on, so I'm going to copy them. So, for example, my fiance was in the army and we used to have to go to all these really poncy fancy dinners. And at some of these dinners there'd be a table set with like 1,000 knives and forks and spoons and all sorts of weird implements. I didn't have a clue. I didn't know where to start. So what I did, I used informational social influence. That's the reason why I conformed. I looked at the smartest, poshest looking people and I thought, they're using this knife and this fork. I want to be right because I don't want to embarrass anyone. So I'm going to copy them and do what they're doing because I think that's the right thing to do. I think that's the correct way to do it. Equally, if you are cheating in a test, which I hope none of you do, then you are going to copy that answer because you think it's the right answer. That's informational social influence. You're doing it because you think that the other person is right. If you become a vegetarian, like I was explaining with the internalisation, it's argued that you do that because you think that that's the right way to be. So this is collectively called the dual process model. And the dual process model contains the normative social influence and the informational social influence. And what I'm just going to do now is put up a little diagram just to show you which bit explains what. So what we've got normative social influence explaining compliance, and we've got informational social influence explaining identification and internalisation. Now, there are two very famous studies that you should look at, which might help your understanding here. The very famous Ashline study, and the one that I teach my students is Jennis Jellybean study. So if you want a bit more clarification, head over to those videos now. And this has been Explaining Psychology. As always, any feedback or questions, put them below. Any requests for further videos, just send me an email. And I'll see you soon.